This might be crazy, but what if Delibird was a legendary Pokemon? In honor of the holiday season, I decided to give Delibird the stats from Ho-Oh. This would make it very, very powerful and much better than it would be in the normal game. This is based on a suggestion from Frostbite Snake. Thank you so much, Frost, for hanging out on the channel and all your great suggestions. That means for today, Delibird's base stats are 106 HP, 130 attack, 90 defense, 110 special attack, 154 special defense, and 90 speed. I also very specifically chose Saturday 5 PM as the starting time in-game. This will be key for a couple of very important moves late in the game. But for now, Delibird only has Present. This is the only move that it can learn through level up actually, and it has some interesting mechanics. The damage it deals is basically left up to random chance. It has a 40% chance of just having 40 base power, a 30% chance of having 80 base power, and only 10% chance of having 120 base power. So this can scale anywhere from 40 to 120, but that's not all. Present also has a 20% chance to heal the opponent for 1/4 of their HP. We can see some good examples of that in this first fight here, where the damage from Present is not going to be reliable. On top of dealing random damage, it also only has 90% accuracy, which doesn't really make sense since this isn't a great move anyway. I don't know why it just doesn't have 100% accuracy. On my way to Violet City, I'm going to stop and pick up a Bellsprout. This is essential for the cut and flash HMs for later. I can catch it and name it Seamus. Thank you so much, Seamus, for being subscribed. You're awesome. If you want to see your name pop up or get mentioned in the videos, make sure to get subscribed and get in the comments. I'd love to see it. But now we're going to head straight to Falkner's gym. This is because he doesn't have any super effective damage on his Pidgey or Pidgeotto, and in fact, they can't use Mud Slap. So they actually can't do much. I am a little bit worried if I keep healing the opponents that it could draw out this battle, but I went in specifically with low PP just in case I couldn't get good luck with Present. I could start using Struggle instead. But we can beat the Pidgeotto, get the win, and we can actually pick up Mud Slap as well. Strangely enough, Delibird also learns this move. But I can pick up Swift on the way to Azalea Town, so that gives me 2 new moves I can learn, Swift and Mud Slap. And for this run, since we're doing a legendary Delibird, we're going to let it learn all its normal TM moves. I'm not going to limit it just to Present, but maybe in the future, if you want to see like a hardcore Delibird playthrough where I can only learn Present, I think that would be a really tough playthrough and maybe would be a good challenge. So using Swift, I'm going to clear out all the rockets in Slowpoke Well, and this will get me to the Azalea Gym. I don't do any additional training because I have the type advantage against Bugsy, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. Granted, I don't have a flying type move. In fact, the only flying type move that Delibird can learn is just Fly. So I'm not going to be able to get that until much later in the game, so I'm going to still have to rely on Swift for quite a while. Bugsy's cocoons are no problem, obviously, and Scyther doesn't really do very good damage with Fury Cutter, and if he uses Quick Attack, it'll mess up the chaining and he won't get that stacked up. So I can take an easy win against him and I can head over to the rival battle here in Azalea. Luckily, I have Mud Slap for the Ghastly. Both Ghastly and Magnemite are going to be big issues if I don't have a ground type move, or at least a really hard-hitting ice type move. So I definitely need that. I can also drop Quilava's accuracy with Mud Slap and then just knock it out with Swift. The boosted attack stat is really helping out here. And then obviously Zubat's no problem. As we go through the forest, get cut and headbutt and head over to Goldenrod City, I'll talk a little bit about my experience with these games. Before my Venusaur playthrough just a couple weeks ago, I hadn't actually played a full run of Crystal version in like 15 years. Being able to play this game in its entirety for the first time in over a decade really brought back that nostalgia and that love for this series that I had as a kid. I learned how to play these games and got introduced to Pokemon through the original Yellow game for Game Boy, but Crystal really had a special place in my heart. This is tied to the holidays because this is the time of year that I would get these kind of games or get these new things, and as a kid, this was like a highlight of the year. Once we're in Goldenrod City though, after we've picked up Abra, I can go prepare to fight Whitney. Delibird's only level 20, but with its increased stats, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. And while Clefairy really isn't an issue, I realize the power of that rollout on Miltank. With 4 times damage, that can hit really hard, and unfortunately it gives me a reset right away. I was only 2 points of speed away from being able to move first against the Miltank and probably have a better chance to cause flinches and make it through that fight. I come back into the fight at level 21, and this will actually give me enough speed to now move first, and I can use Headbutt to cause a flinch, right? Well, no. Maybe the second one? Still no. And I can't quite knock it out in 3 hits, so I think that this is still going to be a little bit tough. Without any good places to train right now and no rare candies, I just try this again, hoping that I can maybe get some luck with some flinches or maybe a miss from rollout. After 3 resets at Whitney, I can finally get to the Miltank and it can just miss rollout. Unfortunately, that was just kind of the solution today. A flinch also would have been a good workaround, but it just took a few tries to get us through that. Even with the boosted stats, that ice flying type really leaves us weak to rock type specifically. With Whitney defeated, I can go clear Sudowoodo out of the way and get to Ecruteak City. Here I'll battle the Kimono Girls and have a pretty easy time of it. Obviously with the boosted stats, Christmas here is doing incredible. Even Jolteon doesn't really pose a threat. With that I can pick up Surf and then I can start to think about what I want to do for this next rival fight and gym battle. I figured that going to train up on the way over to pick up the Mint Berry and then using that during Morty's gym might be the best solution. While Delibird has an excellent attack stat today, its only move it can hit the ghost types with is Mud Slap. Because of that, I really think that I might get put to sleep at some point in that battle, so I think the Mint Berry is going to be essential. Now at level 27, I am pretty over leveled for this fight, and with my great stats, it shouldn't be a problem, but I can't quite knock out Haunter in one hit. It puts a curse on me, but I can knock out Magnemite in one hit, no problem. I dropped Koala's accuracy again, which works out great. I do take curse damage, but I can knock it out, and that means Zubat is going to be an easy one hit. We get to go check on the other legendaries in this game. Hello guys, how you doing? They run around the screen and then we can head over to Morty's gym to fight these ghosts. What's good is Delibird is the fast growth rate, so on top of having incredible stats, it's actually going to level much faster than other Pokemon. As I knock out Morty's first Pokemon, it takes me to level 30, which is great. But these levels don't have as much benefit as maybe other Pokemon get. We don't get any new moves, and our learn set is entirely dependent on the TMs available in the areas. Unfortunately, that Hypnosis is just a problem, and especially with Dream Eater, Gengar can do some decent damage and knocks us out. Now at 4 resets we go back in. Mudslap is good against Ghastly, at least that goes down to 1 hit. I still get hit by Curse to 1 Haunter. There's not really a way around that because Mudslap just can't 1 hit. But now against Gengar, once I've dropped its accuracy, it's really inaccurate with Hypnosis, and it doesn't hit it this time, so we can get to the final Haunter, but we're just not quite doing enough damage, and Curse is stacking up too quickly, and we get taken out. I was starting to think that this battle might be not possible yet, but with a little more luck, we can actually get to the Gengar on the next attempt and not take any damage before that. This means that we can actually have high enough health that we can get through to the last Haunter and knock it out with Mudslap and finally get the win against Morty. With that, I can head down to Olivine City in order to meet the rival real quick and then pick up the Good Rod. This is where we'll also want to catch a Krabby. Krabby is an awesome HM user for Strength, Rock Smash, Surf, Whirlpool. It's really useful. So we can catch a Krabby here on the beach with the rod and name this Samir. Thank you so much, Samir, for being subscribed. You rock. After that, I have to go check on Jasmine in the lighthouse in order to open her gym later. I can also pick up a rare candy here. There aren't actually that many of these in these Johto games, not like they were in Gen 1, where you can just kind of find them throughout the route pretty quickly. And with that, we can start to prepare for Chuck's gym. I did forget Strength though, so I had to head out and try to teleport back to Olivine because I couldn't remember if I had healed in the Pokemon Center. Unfortunately, I did, so I have to Surf all the way back. I can pick up Surf in Olivine and then teleport back, and then I can go straight back into Chuck. My moveset is currently Headbutt, Swift, Present, and Mud Slap. I think at this point I will soon replace Present, unfortunately. It's just not going to be that useful, but like I said, we can maybe do a Present only run in the future. As predicted, Headbutt does great damage against Chuck, and while he can put me to sleep, there's really not much else he can do to me, so it's an easy win, and that gets us Fly. I finally have my first stab move for Delibird. This will do the most damage of any move on its learn set, but unfortunately having really high stats in Johto doesn't speed things up as much as you may think. Actually, Headbutt is overkilling a lot of the opponents I'm facing, so the 2 turns to use Fly actually just aren't necessary. Just a quick use of Headbutt is the best way to end a fight in most situations. But not against Jasmine though. Her steel types are a bit tough for Delibird. Mudslap is good against Magnemites, which is nice, so those aren't really a concern. The big problem is Steelix. Steelix has a monstrous 150 defense, and that's higher than any of Delibird's boosted stats, including its HP. Because of that, I have to just slowly chip away with Mudslap until I run out of PP and it's at the lowest accuracy possible, and then I just have to switch to Headbutt. Unfortunately, it lands 2 Iron Tails in a row right at the end. It was only at just a sliver left. That was so close. Man, so frustrating. I'll figure I'll move on and fly back here to fight her again. That fight goes really slowly, and if I level up a little bit and maybe add some moves, I think it'll go much better. So instead I move on to Mahogany Town, where I can go to the Lake of Rage, pick up a rare candy, and then fight the red Gyarados. That is just the most awesome sprite and an iconic shiny for these games. After that though, we unfortunately have to start the Rocket plotline here in Mahogany Town, and then it will continue in the Radio Tower. I will skip a lot of these fights though. I'll show the Rocket executives and such if needed, but as you see here, they're just very easy for Christmas at this point. Its Headbutt is just knocking everything out in one hit, so really not a struggle at all. Once we clear out that hideout, we can head over to Price's gym. While his team is going to be very weak against us for the most part, it will be our chance to finally get an ice move. So once we knock out that Piloswine, that'll get us the gym badge and also the TM16 for Icy Wind. While this is not the most powerful ice move, it is our first, and I am just excited to finally have a special move on our moveset. However, I make a big mistake here. I replace Mud Slap with Icy Wind. And while that might not seem like a bad thing, right? Icy Wind is an excellent upgrade on base power and usefulness for the most part, but it does not one-hit the Magnemites in Jasmine's gym. So I gave up my move that would one-hit these and avoid paralysis, avoid supersonic, and instead I have to now two-hit, get paralyzed, and get taken out by Steelix. I realize my mistake, but I've already saved, so there's no going back at this point. This does show that while having increased stats is really nice, it doesn't solve all the problems imposed by a bad learn set. After getting taken out again, I realized I should probably use the Paralyzed Cure Berry, because that will prevent at least one Thunder Wave from the Magnemites and could be a big help. And it was a great idea because the next Magnemite misses, and then I can use Icy Wind to knock out Steelix very quickly. And that'll finally give us the Mineral Badge from Jasmine. Up next we have all the Underground and Radio Tower portion of the Rocket plotline. I'll fight the rival here in the Underground, but at this point Christmas is level 45. That fast growth rate is really starting to show its hand. Or wing? But either way, this fight is incredibly easy. After that, I'll skip to the final Rocket Executive that has a Houndour and Houndoom, because maybe that'll be an issue, right? The typing seems promising, but no, Delibird can just knock them straight out because it outspeeds and has a great attack damage with Headbutt, so no issue. I can pick up the Radio card, which I need for Kanto, and then I can head to the Ice Path. This has a couple very important items here. I'll pick up HM7, the Nevermelt Ice, the TM for Rest, and a PP up, and then we can get to Blackthorn City. Here I'll go straight into Claire's gym. Our new move, Icy Wind, is going to make this gym much better. And yeah, there's no problem. All these dragon types are weak to it, and we deal really good damage, and with the Nevermelt Ice now, Delibird is just on a roll. After defeating Claire, we can go to the Dragon's Den and pick up our Dratini. This is very useful for Waterfall, and then we can head to Kanto. I surf across from New Barktown, and we can start making our way to the Elite Four. We're already at 8 resets as we get through here, but before we get to the Elite Four, we're going to have to fight the rival one more time. But unfortunately for Silver, at this point Delibird is still leveling up quite quickly. Now level 52, we can just easily stomp through his team. Even a critical hit Flame Wheel from Typhlosion doesn't do that much damage to us. Outside of some really bad luck, I mean, we're paralyzed and that's not great, and then we get a Future Sight, which is also not great because we still have to take out Golbat, and then we get paralyzed against Golbat, and that actually gets really close. But we take the win and we can get ready for the Elite Four. And first up is Will. And what's nice here is that Delibird has a great combination for his team. Ice moves plus a couple hard-hitting physical moves are a really good combination for this fight. As I stomp through Will's team, Delibird wanted me to let you know to have a happy holidays. Hopefully there's not too many icy winds out there where you guys are at, but I hope you're having a week as good as Delibird's stats are today. We knock out the Executor with Icy Wind and take an easy win against Will. From there we're on to Koga, and hopefully he's going to be a better matchup for our legendary Delibird. He does lead off with an Ariados, which is not the most intimidating Pokemon ever. His Fortress could maybe be a problem, but Icy Wind does decent damage because it actually has terrible special defense. Because of that, we can actually take it out pretty quickly, and that gets us to Muck, who actually has a really good special defense. It's interesting that in Generation 2, Muck was given better special defense, but then Weezing was given better special attack. They kind of split it differently for those two Pokemon to kind of be a little bit different from each other. But with super effective damage against the Crobat, I can wrap up with Koga, and we can get over to Bruno. And today, Delibird is kind of in a perfect situation to face Bruno. With Fly for all the fighting types, Icy Wind for any rock types, it's actually going to be a really good matchup for us. I accidentally used Fly though against Onix, but with a critical hit, it actually does pretty good damage. I was a little surprised there. I knock it out with Icy Wind, but then we have to fight Machamp still, and I'm getting really low, and it has a Rock Slide. I really don't like the chances here. But luckily, Sandstorm was chipping away at Machamp. We have just enough damage to knock it out, and the Sandstorm subsides right at the end for Hitmonlee. If we had been hit one more time with that, we would have been knocked out. That was actually really close. Not today, Bruno, not today. And now we have probably the scariest member of the Elite Four, Karen. She will start off with Sand Attack in order to drop my accuracy, but I do have Swift today to mitigate that problem. That makes it so Umbreon won't be as much of a problem, but then Houndoom comes up next. I do take a lot of damage fighting this thing, unfortunately, and we get a little bit low. It takes us down to not so nice health when we get to Gengar. Luckily, Fly does great physical damage to Gengar, so that makes it easier. Murkrow doesn't quite go down to Swift, unfortunately, and I was scared of missing because of my accuracy, But we do get to Vileplume, and at that point, Icy Wind or Fly will both be really good damage, and if we can get the hit, we can take the win. And now there's only one Elite Four member left, the champion Lance. Lance leads with his Gyarados, but we can actually knock it out over 2 turns and it only sets up Rain Dance, which actually is hugely beneficial for us, because next he goes for Charizard because of the typing, but because of the rain, it just can't do any real damage with its fire-type moves, so it's actually kind of been weakened by Lance's own Rain Dance that he set up. But from there, Christmas has an easy sweep with its easy breezy Icy Wind. It knocks out all the Dragonites with no problem, and in fact, even takes out Aerodactyl in a single hit. It's nice to see Delibird get a chance to shine with these boosted stats. And with that victory against Lance, Delibird has become the new champion. After 1 hour and 19 minutes of real time, 4 hours and 55 minutes of game time, Delibird defeats the Elite Four. But it's not over yet, we still have to go to Kanto. But after we pick up our SS ticket, I'm actually going to make a quick pit stop in Goldenrod City. This is because there's a move tutor here that can teach Delibird Ice Beam. And yes, spending 4,000 coins for this move tutor is the only way to learn this move in Gen 2. At least for Delibird. With this much more powerful ice move, I think we're ready for the final challenges of the playthrough. We beat all of the gyms in Kanto really quickly, and we can head over to Blue. This is the only gym in Kanto that's like a real challenge for Christmas in any way. Everything else just folded like origami paper. Blue leads this fight with a Pidgeot, but luckily Ice Beam does incredible damage here, so we don't have to worry about getting hit with Mirror Move. Arcanine might be a problem with Flamethrower, especially if it gets a crit like it just did. Luckily we can knock it out, but we're at half health now going into the Alakazam. Headbutt does enough to knock it out though, and then we have Rhydon, but it will take super effective damage from Ice Beam and a crit, so that's not bad at all. Now we have Gyarados. I think he's going to set up Rain Dance his first turn, so I'm going to use Headbutt. He flinches though, and we can knock it out on the second attack. And that leaves Exeggutor, and hopefully Ice Beam gets the one hit, and it does. And now at a very nice level, we can head off to fight Red and beat Pokemon Crystal with our legendary Delibird. As we prepare to fight Red, make sure to subscribe and like the video. You guys are all awesome. I now use all of my rare candies that I've collected so far, and that brings Delibird up to level 76. With no new moves to learn by level up, I have 2 TMs I want to use before we go into the fight. The first is Curse, which I picked up in Celadon City, which is why I set the time to 5 PM, because it would be night by the time I got to Celadon and I could pick that move up. After that, I also teach Rest. Curse and Rest are an awesome combination for these games, and could maybe be really beneficial if we start to struggle here. But let's start the final battle of the playthrough. Red sends out Pikachu and we can take it out with a single Ice Beam, which is awesome. We don't have to deal with Thunder or with Charm. Charizard poses a little bit more of a threat because I don't know exactly what move is going to do the most damage here. I go for Fly because our attack stat is higher, and it actually gets a critical hit and takes out Charizard in one hit. That is a huge relief. Here at Espeon, I decided I should probably set up with a few curses, mostly for Snorlax, not for Espeon. Once I'm set up to +3, Fly just knocks Espeon out, and we have nice health again for Snorlax. But at Snorlax, I'm actually going to Rest. This, in combination with Curse, makes us very hard to knock out, and then once I wake up, I can start using Ice Beam. And I actually get a Freeze! That is some serious luck for Delibird, and makes this battle much better than it already was. Now for Red, unfortunately, he doesn't have a ton left he can do to us. He sends out Venusaur, but both Fly and Ice Beam are great options here. Because of my setup, I'm just going to go for Fly. Red follows that up with Blastoise, and then I go for Fly again because of our boosted stats. And we actually get the knockout. And that's it! With that, our special legendary Delibird has completed the game in 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 43 seconds, with a game time of 6 hours and 44 minutes, and 8 resets. This boosted Delibird was definitely a fun and happy playthrough, and I hope you are all having a fun and happy holidays. I know this can be a tough time of year for some, so if you need anybody to hang out with, I do have some VODs of my previous live streams if you just need something in the background. I'm more than happy to hang out with you. I hope you're doing well, but until next time, have a wonderful day.